Hey everyone, this week we're at the Bloomington, Indiana Convention Center to check out their annual Toy and Comic Expo. This is definitely one of the smaller conventions that we've been to, but you never know, there could always be some fun hidden gems here. The convention itself is divided up into 2 floors, with the bottom floor contained within just a couple of rooms. Right off the bat, I noticed this guy's table that had the classic pre-Super 7 Simpsons toys that littered clearance bins and toy stores everywhere back in the early 2000s. I never cared though because I loved these things, and I think they're still damn good even by today's much more expensive standards. Obviously, these are all still super cheap, so if you've ever wanted to start a collection of classic Simpsons characters, this is definitely the best way to go.
Don't make me run! I'm full of chocolate!
Video games were pretty sparse at this convention, but this booth did have a few games laying out, including everyone's favorite furry fighting game, Brutal, in the box for a very appropriate $20. They also had an NES displaying my least favorite NES game ever, Spy vs. Spy, and honestly, I'm glad I dropped it. It deserves much worse. There's also a TurboGrafx 16 with Splatterhouse running for all the kids to play, and for all of us old people to cry at just how much all of this stuff costs now. There's also a lot of really fun art sitting around, so get used to seeing it in this video. Art has always been my passion, and I can't get enough of stuff like this. Some really awesome stylized art from various horror movie icons and other less iconic horror movies as well. They also had this custom figure contest going on down here where people were constructing figures out of various parts, I guess. The girl that was taking the votes was really hyping this up, but about the only one that I liked was this guy with a dinosaur head. These are all still pretty neat to see though, especially seeing what other people can do with just some extra toy parts laying around. But that's about all there is to do down here besides terrorize my brother with panning shots, so we headed upstairs to a much larger room where the majority of the convention's being held. One of the first things I noticed was this table featuring some really fun stuffed food items. Well, I'm not the biggest stuffed object collector myself. My ex used to lose her goddamn mind over stuffed food for whatever reason, and this immediately reminded me of that. And honestly, I damn near bought this angry Pop-Tart because it reminded me of myself. Heading over to the art section again, one table that really stood out was Rusty Shackles. All of his art is really reminiscent of that early 2000 Capcom style that I just can't get enough of, so this instantly stood out to me. He's also got a retro gaming coloring book that honestly should be required at every art booth. Also, I had to stop over this table because of the eclectic art pieces. Seriously, anyone that has a T-Rex and a Catwoman at the same table deserves some kind of mention. The art here definitely veered more towards the darker side of horror with some amazing line work on just about everything. Artists out there, please, if you're listening, I'm pleading you, please use your pens more. It really stands out on stuff like this. And one other thing that really blew me away was the quality of 3D printing these days. I'm assuming these are all 3D printed going by the table sign, but these look so good that I honestly couldn't tell the difference between these and high-quality sculptures. Of course, I didn't get to fondle them, so I imagine the materials are quite a bit different, but when your stuff looks as good as these TMNT statues, I mean, who really cares? But really, that's about all that caught our attention here. Of course, there were comic and toy vendors, but all of it was fairly tame. Plus, we have an absolutely massive convention to talk about, hopefully next week, so we just decided to leave before people started asking us to stop filming. But anyway, thanks for joining us this time. As mentioned, we'll be back next week with all the pig barns and hillbilly DJs that you can handle. Thanks for watching, guys.